Okay, we are live. This is the case of People of the State of Michigan versus Dean Baldwin, docket numbers 20-133FH and 20-135FH. Mr. Baldwin, I have an address for you on West Miller Road. Is that still accurate?
No, you can update it to 1022 West Edgewood.
1022 West Edgewood?
Yes, ma'am. West Edgewood.
Is there an apartment number or anything?
Apartment 1.
Okay, and that's in Lansing.
Yes, ma'am.
48911. All right, thank you. And are you working right now?
No, I'm currently not, ma'am.
Sure. And how far did you go in school?
I got my GED.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Baldwin, you have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Mr. Cornish, who is there present with you. And Mr. Cornish, I believe this is a plea. There's multiple files, but this is a plea on the two files that I read off, 2133 and 2135. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, is there a habitual that applies to either one of these?
On the 135, Your Honor.
Okay, so then would you read whatever it is that he's pleading to on those two files, Ms. Allen?
Yes, Your Honor. In the People of the State of Michigan versus Dean Baldwin in file 20-133FH, State of Michigan, County of Ingham, in the name of the people of the State of Michigan, the prosecuting attorney for this county appears before the court and informs the court that on or about January 7th, 2020 at 500 East Edgewood Boulevard, City of Lansing, Ingham County, the defendant did in count 1, while Target was open to the public, steal property of the store that was offered for sale at a price of $200 or more, but less than $1,000. And it further appearing that on August 8, 2017, said defendant was previously convicted of violating retail fraud first MCL 750.356C into the 56th Circuit Court, Eaton County. Therefore, this violation of Michigan law constitutes retail fraud in the first degree, contrary to Michigan law. It's a felony punishable by up to 5 years and or $10,000, or 3 times the value or difference in price of the property stolen, obtained, or attempted to be obtained, whichever is greater. To impose a fine of 3 times the value, the defendant must admit the amount, or it must be determined by the trier of fact at trial. The court may order reimbursement to the state or local government for expenses incurred in relation to the incident, including but not limited to expenses for emergency response and prosecution, and was committed against the peace and dignity of the State of Michigan. And in file 20-135-FH, People of the State of Michigan versus Dean Baldwin, State of Michigan, County of Ingham, in the name of the people of the State of Michigan, the prosecuting attorney for this county appears before the court and informs the court that on or about October 20th, 2019, at 2055 West Grand River Avenue, Meridian Township, Ingham County, the defendant did in count 1, while Meyer was open to the public, alter, transfer, remove, and replace, conceal, or otherwise misrepresent the price at which the property was offered for sale, with the intent not to pay for the property or to pay less than the price at which the property was offered for sale, the resulting difference in price being $200 or more, but less than $1,000. And it further appearing that on August 23rd, 2019, said defendant was previously convicted of violating retail fraud second degree, MCL 750.356D, in 56th Circuit Court, Eaton County. Therefore, this violation of Michigan law constitutes retail fraud in the first degree, contrary to Michigan law. It's a felony punishable by up to 5 years and or $10,000, or 3 times the value or difference in price of the property stolen, obtained, or attempted to be obtained, whichever is greater. To impose the fine of 3 times the value, the defendant must admit the amount, or it must be determined by the trier of fact at trial. The court may order reimbursement to state or local governments for expenses incurred in relation to the incident, including but not limited to expenses for emergency response and prosecution. We ask the court take notice that the defendant was previously convicted of a felony or an attempt to commit a felony, and that on or about August 18th, 2017, he was convicted of the offense of retail fraud, first degree, in violation of Michigan law in the 56th Circuit Court for Eaton County, state of Michigan. Therefore, he's subject to the penalties provided by Michigan law, which are 1.5 times the maximum sentence on the primary offense or a lesser term. The maximum penalty cannot be less than the maximum term for a first conviction. We ask the court order law enforcement to collect a DNA identification profiling sample before sentencing or disposition, if not taken at arrest. And this offense was committed against the peace and dignity of the state of Michigan.
Mr. Baldwin, you're being charged here in the one file with what's known as first-degree retail fraud. In that first file, it's a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison. And then in the second file, also being charged with first-degree retail fraud, a felony, but because the prosecutor's proceeding against you as a habitual second offender, it makes the maximum penalty up to 7.5 years in prison. Have you had enough time to talk about these charges with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand the charges against you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions at all about what we're doing?
No, ma'am.
And how do you want to plead?
Guilty.
If your plea of guilty is accepted by this court, it means you won't have a trial of any kind, and you'll be giving up the rights that go along with a trial. I think you signed an advice of rights form, but I don't have it here with me, so I will just go through those orally just to make sure. I'll go through the rights that you'll be giving up by pleading guilty. They are first, a trial by jury, or if you didn't want trial by jury, trial by judge. Second, you'd be giving up the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, and the right to have the prosecutor prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You'll be giving up the right to have the witnesses against you appear at the trial and to be able to cross-examine them, as well as the right to have this court order any witnesses that you might have for your defense to appear at trial. You'll give up the right to remain silent at trial and not to have that silence used against you, or alternatively, the right to testify if you wanted to at the trial. There's also some things you give up concerning appellate rights. One is you don't have an automatic right to appeal when you plead guilty. Instead, you have to ask the higher court to hear your case, and they have to agree to hear it. And then the other thing you need to know is that there are many issues that you can raise when you go to trial and get convicted, but when you plead guilty, you cannot raise those issues even on appeal. Do you understand those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
And also, if I accept your plea, it means you cannot come back later on and try to say that the plea was the result of some promise or threat that nobody told me about today. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
It also means you can't come back later on and try to say that it really wasn't your own choice to plead guilty today. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there a plea agreement, Ms. Allen?
Yes, Your Honor. In exchange for the defendant's plea in files 20-133-FH and 20-135-FH, the people agreed to dismiss the two cases he has pending in this court, 20-134-FH and 20-136-FH. We also agreed to dismiss a pending case in district court, 20-795-FH. There's also a sentence agreement between the parties pursuant to People versus Killebrew that the defendant's upfront jail not exceed 12 months in the Ingham County Jail. And we have an agreement as to the amount of restitution owed as a result of all these cases in the amount of $182.92 to Target.
That's all the restitution on everything?
Yes, Your Honor. He was caught during right after most of them.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure. And
Yeah.
Mr. Cornish, is that a full and complete statement?
Yes, Your Honor, I think the district court one's still an FY, but other than that, yes.
Yeah, it would be.
I was just checking that case.
Yep, and Mr. Baldwin, is all of that your understanding of the agreement as well?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Do you agree with it?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
There's an agreement about your sentence that it would be no more than 1 year in jail. If for some reason I decided not to go along with that, I'd tell you before I sentenced you, and I'd give you a chance if you wanted to take back your plea and start all over. Do you have all that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Has anyone promised you anything else that has not been said here right now in order to get you to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone used any threats?
No, ma'am.
Is this your own choice?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you pleading guilty because you believe you are in fact guilty of these offenses?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's start with the one, the Target case, which is 20-133. And tell me what you did on or about January 7, 2020.
I went into Target and went into Target with the intentions on stealing items that I did not pay for.
Okay, so was Target open to the public at the time?
Yes, ma'am. It was open to the public at that time when I went into the store to
Okay.
steal items.
And
Yes.
did you actually remove items from the store?
Yes, ma'am. I removed the
You
items.
did not pay?
No,
You did
yeah,
not pay?
they caught me.
They caught you. But you were intending to steal them, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that was merchandise that Target had been selling, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and that was the Target on East Edgewood in Lansing, Ingham County, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, then let's look at the other file. This one was the Meyer one. Tell me about Meyer on October 20, 2019.
I went in Myers to steal some clothing, shoes, shirts, jogging suits. That was for sale in Myers. And
Did you get caught there as well?
yes, Your Honor.
Did you move the merchandise in some way in trying to steal it?
Yes, I had placed it in Adidas duffel bag.
Okay, and you said your intent was to steal it, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Meyer was open to the public at the time?
Yes.
And this was merchandise that they were offering for sale?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and this was the Meyer on, the one
Yes,
on
sir.
West Grand River in Meridian Township, Ingham County?
Yes.
Okay. And was it being sold at a price more than $200?
Yes.
And let's go back to Target. Was that being sold at a price for more than $200?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Has the court complied with MCR 6.302? Mr. Cornish?
Your Honor, I believe so. Does the court need to question him regarding his prior or to make it into
No.
this first? Okay, then yes, Judge.
Sentence enhancement. And
Okay.
has the court complied, Ms. Allen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you aware of any promises, threats, or inducements other than those already placed on the record? Mr. Cornish?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Allen?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, the court finds the plea is understandingly and voluntarily made without undue influence, threats, or promises of leniency. It is an accurate plea supported by the testimony, and the plea is accepted. And Mr. Cornish, you're already scheduled for another sentencing on June 29th at 2:45. Could you do this one at 3 then?
Yes, Your Honor. If you give me just a moment, I'll solicit my client really quick off the record, or not off the record, and mute to make sure he's okay with the Zoom.
Yes.
Your Honor, I did talk to him just now, and he's fine with doing that, waiving personal appearance and doing it in my office over Zoom, Your Honor.
Very good. So then that will be, Mr. Baldwin, that'll be on June 29th at 3 p.m.
Yes.
And you'll be right back where you are right now at that time. And
Yes.
in the meantime, you will get some sort of a contact. I'm not sure how they'll be doing it, but some sort of a contact from the probation department. They're going to interview you for the report that I will need for sentencing. And your bond is continued, and that will conclude our hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to check on my my next case, I don't know if he's here, if he's coming.